Hi, we are here, we are back. This is the nominations, evaluations, and council policy meeting on July 22nd. In attendance, Councillor Sarah Marks, Councillor Rob Laraway, Town Manager Clint DeShan, and I believe we have a guest online. Hello, would you like to introduce yourself? Hello.
Maybe not.
Okay. Well, if you would like to share at some point, you can raise your hand on the screen and we will try to watch for that. We are recording the meeting. Okay, so our agenda today, after roll call, we have review of ongoing items on our agenda, and we also have an executive session to discuss a nominee for the tree board, correct?
Yeah, and you'd be going in under 405-6 A regarding the personnel matter nomination to a board.
Correct. Rob, I'd like to suggest that we do that first rather than at the end, if that's acceptable.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we are now going to go into executive session. We will be
Okay.
back afterwards with a
Pause.
recommendation.
I'm gonna pause and mute and shut off the video during the executive session.
Hi, we are back again at the NECAB meeting on July 22nd. We are out of executive session. We will be, as a committee, we have decided we will be recommending to the Orono Town Council that they appoint Ethan Lamb to the tree board in Orono. Item is complete. All right. As for ongoing items, we are cycling finally two of our policy and procedures manuals. For council policy and procedures manual, which work was begun on updating this back in 2023, in the winter of 2023. So we are approaching way more than 2.5 years now. So hopefully this time we will get through it. I did send a new draft out in the email today. Because as I read, there were more things that I caught that we hadn't seen. And we have an email from Jacob Baker, which I will read with some questions. There was a response that came only to me just later today, so that's what I should probably start by reading. Jacob had asked a question in an email that this full committee and Clint saw. The first part was just asking why we are doing this manual. Is it supposed to replace the internal control policy and procedure manual? To which the answer is no, it is not meant to replace that. That manual is primarily geared towards staff and is entirely focused on controls around financial matters for the town. This manual we are working on, the council policy and procedures manual, has existed for quite some time, I believe. The last dated version approved was in 2021. I do not know how many years it existed before that. And the purpose of this manual is to try to get in one place all of the various procedures and policies that council has, including to integrate in the NECAP committee recommendations regarding council meetings and schedules into one place, as Clint put it so eloquently, so that when we update it and take a look at it once a year, we do not have to also go pull up multiple past sets of recommendations, that everything is integrated into one document, similar to what staff brought us for the personnel policy handbook. And Jacob wrote back after my email to him saying, thank you, Sarah, that all makes sense. I didn't realize we were incorporating the NECAP items into the manual. For some reason, I thought those were going to live as two separate documents. I agree with combining those two. As to overlap between the policy and procedure manual and internal controls, the biggest overlap is background information on the purpose, roles, and authorities of council and manager. Now that I understand the difference between the two documents, I agree that it makes sense to have two separate documents, the council policy and procedure manual and the internal controls manual. So I just wanted to bring that follow up. I told Jacob I would bring it to the committee tonight. So I think unless anyone here has further questions about why we're doing this policy procedures manual, we are free to jump in. Everyone feel good about that?
Yeah.
All right. So I want to point out that one thing I was asked to do last time was to start a draft of a municipal calendar of what needs to happen, what month and what meeting of the year. That was a bigger task than I thought
I bet.
it was going to be to put all those things together. And I'm aware that many of these things are not probably currently the way we want to do them, since I believe we learned a lot this year. I know our town manager has spoken about wanting to shift the budget meeting schedules in particular.
Mm.
So I'm actually a little bit curious for us to first just take a quick look at this and highlight what anyone thinks might be missing. I'm aware that we would want to reach out to each of the other committees to see what else they may be aware of that I am not. So that should be, so Rob, I know you serve on the ordinance review committee. If there's anything for that committee that is important to be tied to a certain month of the year, maybe think about that before our next meeting to let us know.
And I'd like to have Mitch and I and to go through it from
Exactly.
our perspective, what we could have.
Yeah.
Maybe even Shelley a little bit. so.
Yep, 100%. So we'll have staff take a look before our next meeting. Rob, you can think about ordinance review.
Should I, sorry to interrupt.
No, you have interrupted.
Should we put, these documents, we should link them now to the agenda? Since they were, since
I think we
didn't
should.
get them, so I'll link them to this agenda approved
And we'll
today.
link them also.
So
to
people have them, and
next
then the
week.
next one
Yeah.
we'll have them there for that next meeting.
That would be great. And I will email Jacob as chair of the Finance and Operations Committee. And Dan, Matt, right, is chair of the Community Development Committee. And ask them if there's anything in their committees that they believe is tied to needing to happen on a certain month. So I can take care of that after this meeting. As a quick scan through, most of the things you'll see listed on here for August, September, October are all regarding the 360 evaluations. I took these dates directly from the recommendations council approved for how to conduct the 360 evaluations this year. Is everyone able to access the document? Okay. Okay. As we move into November dates, you'll see that this is an interweaving still of some follow-up on the 360 council evaluation. And then all the recommendations that came from the NECAP report regarding asking counselors by a certain date to rank their committee preferences, making sure that a master calendar of meetings was published online by a certain date. There is no date that I made up. I took them all straight from one of the two NECAP reports that have been accepted by council, which does not mean they can't be changed, but I just want you to know that that is the origin of them. We would just want to bring proposed changes back to council if we felt the need. When you see question marks, I don't know, for example, when the December to February Observer goes to print, and that recommendation did not come from any report. It's just my being aware that we need to be aware of the Observer schedule. And if we want to advertise to the community about volunteer opportunities, we have a lot of them in Orono, not just on boards and committees. There's so many ways people volunteer with Parks and Rec and the library and with Shelley and the town office. And I think it'd be great to have a time of the year when we highlight all those various ways to volunteer so that everyone in town knows about them. As we keep going through, this one should have had question marks. On the next page, do you see where it says second council meeting and it says review of standing committee charges and special committee charges? Over in the who's in charge, it has a question. Is this the right time of year to do this? And would we rather do it?
Page 2,
Yep. I'm on to the second page while I'm printed. I don't know how yours is printing. Let's see. I didn't
Oh, yeah.
remember these
Got it.
columns. There's a comment on the right about, is this the right time of year to do this? Would we rather do it in the summer? Seems like we're kind of quiet in the summer. It could be a peaceful time to review committee charges. It seems to me like we're gonna be a little nuts in November with all the transitions going on. This is one that I should have had question marks on the left column too, and I will add that. But it is in the NECAP accepted report that council accepted that we need to do this yearly as a council and take a look at the committee charges to be sure we're not letting them just kind of, get, I don't want to say out of control, but like out of our awareness, right? That
it might be good though
committees-
too, because you got all your referrals to committee, it's maybe a reset point after a new council to say.
Right.
Hey, because your list is long and, it's time to remove blank from the list.
Right.
We're
Right.
done, we really are done with it, we're not gonna
Right.
come back to it.
It could be a logical time to do it. We could also split and do special committees at a different time of year than standing committees. I have no real opinion here, but I
Oh.
think we ought to take a look at this question. I'm highlighting it for you all because it's something I
And
think. we should-
procedurally, wouldn't the committee look at their own charge to put it on the council agenda to talk about whether that's.
I don't think so. It's in the NECAP recommendations that council itself, once a year, will look at the charge. So as a council, we will be sent a repeat, and the charge will not have changed. It will be the same. But we may not be aware if we keep sending items to committee, we fill out those referral forms and Amanda keeps those on file. So this would be Amanda's time to send to the, us as a council. Here is the charge for each committee and the referral forms they've been sent this year. The committee could certainly then respond by telling us these have all been completed, right? That's fine. I'm not sure how we want to develop this procedure, but
Okay.
it actually doesn't need to be initiated by the committee. It's council saying the committees are ours, we own them.
Yep.
And once a year, we will take a look at them, whether the committee brings it back to us or not.
Yep.
Does that make
And
sense?
for what it's worth, I think this, yes, it does.
Yeah.
And also for what it's worth, I do think this second November council meeting makes a lot of sense for that, for all the reasons Glenn raised, really.
Yeah,
Yep.
new council, new.
Okay. Well, as you can see, that was my first guess,
Yeah.
but it's just a guess, so that's not something that had been in a previous report. As you continue to move down, you'll see question marks in December. We adopted council goals last year in December. I believe Dan has stated it makes sense to keep doing them when a new council is elected, is a good time to set our goals for the municipal year. But I'm not sure if he cares what date in December, first or second meeting, just, I don't know. So there's question marks on that. January 10th, that is a made up by me date. I know Shelley has typically liked us to do the FOIA trainings as new counselors as soon as possible and to sign that paperwork as soon as possible. I would suggest that we also will want new counselors to sign that they have read the policy and procedures manual once we have one. So this might be a check with Shelley, plan check with staff. If there's reasons about when those trainings tend to happen, that would be great to get back. Last year, Clint, you brought us your work plan in January. Council goals were done in December. Is that basically the time frame you're still wanting to do that?
Yeah, the only thing that I'm dealing with here right now is we may have to change finance committee the budget calendar.
Yeah, that's what I
Because
was.
the whole budgets, I got questions on all of those. I mean, and we gotta, you can start here. Do we want to? More in here? I don't know what the word, with the correct verb is, but towards the charter. Because
When does the charter?
I went back 20-something years.
Yep.
The budget's been adopted on a similar timeline forever, with a similar process of one public hearing and then a vote. But if you really read hard into that charter, capital plan comes first. I think you probably could have a public hearing on it then, and then adopt it then. Then the budget goes next, and then you'd have a public hearing on that, and that has got to be done unless there's a vote of the council by May 1.
Yeah, that's in the charter.
That's in the charter.
Yeah, I agree. I personally think that I would like to see the budget discussions happen much sooner. They always feel way too down to the wire to me and way too close to the public hearing with not enough time for council to actually have the substantive conversations at the end that
Yeah.
sometimes need to happen. I'm betting you also want to take this to Finance and Operations Committee for their next meeting.
Mhm.
And so all these, no, not gonna happen for.
Well, they're loaded for the next two, so it's probably gonna have to hold off till September.
Yeah, or maybe it's a simple discussion between you and Jacob. Last I
Yeah.
heard, you did bring it up at Finance Committee once before I was there.
Okay.
And all of the Finance Committee nodded along to, yes, please move this earlier. So I think there was already a general
Okay.
consensus on that.
Yep.
But all these dates from here on out, what I want to highlight is kind of after that by January 15th date, where Clint is pointing out, it says Finance Committee will poll counselors and create a schedule. Everything from here on out, with the exception of these dates regarding the town manager review, which are annual review, which are the April 1st, not the first April council meeting and the second April council meeting, and then a letter to the town manager officially by May 1st. Those dates came from the NECAP report. Everything else from here on out is my estimation of what we did kind of this year. And I'm perfectly aware going in that I've heard from staff,
We
they
did.
want to shift that.
Yep.
So as we return, I think all those dates from there on, we'll hopefully have some ideas from staff at our next meeting of where we might like to see those shifted to.
Sounds good.
Can anyone off the top of their head think of something that I forgot about that we do on a yearly schedule as a council?
Primaries, June, elections.
Okay, so the
I
election,
don't know if it's council one, but there's a June one. 3 out of 4 years you'll have one.
Yeah.
And then are typically 3 out of 4 and. I don't know, there's probably a couple things I'm trying to think on the code side or on the, business licensing, fee schedule, well, it's all part of the budget. I think we gotta, I'll look at a
You'll
little
look
bit of
at the
budget, make
budget.
sure that that's just clear what the votes are related to the budget.
Great.
Cause there's a lot of things rolled into that.
Different pieces of that come at different times. There's a carry forward decision that gets made
Carry
part of the
forward,
budget at the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
So this was just because I was asked to give us a starting point, and this is the best I can do for us as a starting point. And I hope that we'll return to this next month for a more substantive discussion. Everyone's still good on that? Okay,
So, I'm not like.
Yeah.
Just for sure, we're here on social media or whatever, I'm my,
taking notes.
well, my keyboard isn't working, so I'm looking at stuff on the screen, but I'm
Okay,
typing and taking notes on this.
great. I thought we might also just quickly take a look at Jacob's 3 line item comments. Those line items tie to the June version, not to the July version. I did pull how they transfer, so I can tell you what they are in the July version. So you give me a second. Grab that, now I can do it. All right, so the first line item comment, on the new version will show at approximately line 126. Pull that up. Actually, maybe we should start right at the top, since I have a few things I added prior to 126. Maybe we just start at the top and we work our way through. We will have had some discussion about each part. So this has been here since 2023. The yellow highlights pertain to areas where they definitely needed to be addressed from the 2021 version, because they included omissions of core functions or responsibilities assigned by charter or ordinance, or potential violations of the town charters and ordinances or misrepresentations of state law. So as we move through, things change over time. These are areas where we want to pay special attention to anything highlighted in yellow, because they need to be fixed from the 2021 version or they aren't accurate for law or charter or ordinance. Introduction, you'll see that I added some language about that right on the purpose of the document. I've heard from council, several different counselors, once during a council meeting. How do we know in the Muni code system when we've updated an ordinance? Because it doesn't show embedded in the text. When you go in Muni code and you look up ordinance 2-30B, what you read there might or might not be the most recent version. If it's been updated within the previous 12 months, it doesn't integrate into the system. Amanda tells us it integrates once a year, but I think she said
For
June,
now.
and I think she said June, and it still hasn't integrated from last year.
Ends at June or into July, they'll update it sometime
Sometime,
soon.
right?
That's it's a vendor service, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I would be very careful about being extremely specific, but
Right, I'm not, I
at
didn't,
least annually.
I just said annually, I didn't say when.
Yeah.
But I did put language in here to tell counselors, this is where you go
Yeah.
to find the town ordinances. They don't always update, so you have to go to the top page. Because at the very top of the Muni code system, it lists all ordinances that have been changed for our town in the past 12 months. So if you check there and then you check the ordinance, you will know for sure that you have the correct version. So I added that as I realized it wasn't here. Anyone have any comments on that?
good.
Okay. Jacob's first comments kind of start here as we get into the Orono's culture section, which will be the next part of the document. At line 126, there's a paragraph about counselors committing to and sharing responsibility to cultivate an inclusive climate and culture that supports the diversity of Orono's population. Counselors should be prepared to examine and reflect upon any prejudicial attitudes they may hold and the ways in which these attitudes may influence their decision-making policies, procedures, interactions with one another, etc. And I think Jacob's comment here was basically, I understand and agree with the sentiment here, but there are some prejudices and preconceived notions which need to be examined. However, we are all bringing life experiences and viewpoints to this role, and so long as those views are, pretty sure he meant not discriminatory. The word not is missing, but they need to be considered. 100% agree. If people feel that this paragraph, I didn't write it, it's from the previous version, needs to be tweaked in some way.
I think I agree with that idea.
I mean, the charter does make reference to you're a nonpartisan board.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you do bring your own personal systems, but you're not elected from a partisan position.
Yeah, and this last part says, counselors should be aware that inclusion may require changes in individual thinking, feeling, and actions. I don't think what Jacob's pointing out is contradicted here. Does anyone feel that?
No, well, it's not contradictory. I think a lot of what we say, sounds to me in hearing it, not only compatible, but almost just reworded in a similar way here.
Okay. And then his next part, basically starts right kind of after that. It's gonna start basically at line 140, I don't know what, 146, I think. Council encourages its members and staff to speak freely, openly, and honestly without fear. Challenging and thought-provoking dialogue is welcome. The council recognizes that a culture that encourages independence and flexibility ultimately results in greater success, both individually and townwide. So he pointed out that he likes this part and he believes we're doing this. It was already highlighted by past councilors in 2023 that they liked this part. So I think that's just a we're good to go comment, unless someone read that differently than me. And then the comment that he had on line 1, that is now 1, so corrected, yeah. No, okay, so yeah, it's currently in the new version, 157. He believed that I had deleted that one of our jobs was enacting ordinances, but that isn't the case. I simply moved it first. Because I think it's actually one of our most important job is that we enact ordinances and pass the budget. Next to that would be supervising the town manager.
And that's the only one I feel well.
You don't want to be supervised.
No,
Okay, got it. Good to know.
I think, I mean, your charter's appoint.
Yeah.
Review and remove.
Yeah.
That's the 3 words they use. Why don't we stick to appoint, review? The supervise just, you could invite that individually you would get into the day-to-day and individually you do not get into the day-to-day. And I think if you said something as a group, you supervise.
Sure,
Through
that's right.
policies and ordinances, I think that's fine. I just think that, an average citizen reading the word supervise. Oh, how do I do that? Now, do I have daily meetings with him to tell him what he's doing, where he's going, or he or she? So I just, and again, it wasn't, I think it's just the semantics of it, but yeah, I just like the words appoint, review and remove, and then I think when using policy and ordinances. Guide the daily supervision and operation of the town through the manager. That's kind of, that is the flow, I would say.
Yeah, so you said the language there is appoint, review, and remove.
I think that's the ones that I saw in the charter.
I will double check. I think that I remember this discussion last time around and the discussion I remember here may come up again later. I think basically it was highlighting that ideally we would not just appoint and remove, there'd be an in-between stage. Communicating,
yeah.
right, so if review is a word that's in there, that would work. I think supervising got put in there for that purpose, not from wanting to micromanage, but from wanting to
Yeah.
say, we don't want to ever get to a
And I think
point of
supervise,
needing to remove.
Yeah.
So we want to be sure that there's good communication in between.
and I think supervise is okay,
Okay,
as long as it identifies supervises as a board.
Right.
Through
So-
through the votes and actions of a council as a whole.
Yeah.
Kind of mentality, because that's what you do. It's not a,
I'll just put,
Sarah's been assigned public works, Rob's been assigned
Yeah.
parks and rec. Please go to them on each of those areas. No, that's not.
Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we would want that to say perhaps appoint, review, remove, and supervise as a group, never as an individual.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're summarizing?
that's
Okay.
fine. I mean, does it, yeah. So,
Yep, supervise as a group, as a board, as a whole, as a
Okay.
council, whatever, yep.
Great. And that is current line 150.
Yeah, and it ends up coming, I mean, there's gonna have
Comes
to
up
be,
again.
a few places, so you're gonna have to kind of do a search and.
Okay, so I think that one wasn't highlighted, but it was good, we caught that, and now, okay. We're on to the next part where it says established policy, which is line 167 in the most current draft. I just wondered, the word policy to me is a little vague if I was a community member, because we actually pass laws. I mean, I feel like just changing that to say pass laws and establish policy, or pass ordinances and establish policy. Ordinances
Yeah, that's
are
it,
laws,
yeah, set
right?
the laws of the town through policy, ordinance and charter.
Right, I
And I
mean,
think that really just kind of hits it.
but as a title, I think we need, personally, what the summary already has all that in it. What I think the thing is the title sort of makes it sound like that it's only policy, whereas actually a lot of what we do
Correct.
is local law.
what would you say establish ordinances and policy?
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So I think that would be fun.
Agreed.
So I will put a note next to that, establish ordinance, rules, It's not really,
I'm gonna refer to you so they don't have multiple working copies.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, just so we're
That's what I'm doing,
because this is where you get too many cooks in the kitchen.
I'm about out of highlight colors. You saw that in my
I
email.
noticed.
If too much more happens, I won't know what color to highlight.
I'm trying to figure out what I bring to the table. I'm like, okay, what color do I pick?
So, and this is, I think, just a repeat down here where it says, which involves the legislative responsibility, which involves, I would just say, setting policy and passing ordinances, if we want the word ordinances, because that makes it clear it's local law and not, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's approved. Title here was approved. Okay, this amount needs to be adjusted. I'm just gonna leave that highlighted because finance committee is still having discussions about that amount.
Or do you go in this one,
Say,
the
okay,
procedures manual and ordinances will guide it?
Yeah,
That
whatever.
way, if it ever changes, you don't have to change this one, because that's, you actually already changed the 5,000.
Right,
Since you've
So-
done this version, and you're gonna probably change it again.
again, so we would want this language to say approving town expenditures over a specified amount as set forth in the, what is that manual
Well,
called?
it's actually gonna be in the internal controls manual, but it's gonna be an ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, do we know what ordinance number that
It
is?
is the administrative ordinance, and it is, I got that off to Jacob. Hang on, I just got that open because I'm more,
Whenever we find it, it's okay.
I can tell you right now,
Okay,
no, I got it,
great.
it's finance ordinance is Part 2, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 5, Finance.
Okay, so what is the?
Section 2-101, sequential.
What do you mean sequential?
That means it goes on through 101 through 2. It's all of section 2 dash. Everything, 101 through 140, 150.
Okay, so that over a specified amount is set forth in ordinances 2101 to 2150.
Yep.
Good enough?
Yep.
All right, that's good, we're trucking. Okay, I had a question on this entering into contracts that I've had since way back when I first started this. Do we have, who has the power to terminate contracts when we are not satisfied? If that ever were to happen,
I-
it's not clear, and I wonder if it should be clarified here, is it to enter into and terminate contracts, or does that power reside elsewhere?
Ending them is usually with your manager. Contracts that exceed your spending limits go to the council unless they're gonna meet policy. So those are the ones we bring in, so the contracts are entered by you, but in some cases, voiding a contract would have to come to the council. Because it was over spending limit, probably ending it as well, but I mean, that's usually a management departmental issue.
Typically, we don't
The
get
contract,
involved
you don't
in
get
terminating
involved.
if you're unhappy with the quality of service you
Services,
receive.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is accurate. We don't believe that council gets involved in termination.
Correct.
Okay, I'm putting a note.
But again, if we receive $150,000 contract offer, you have to approve that contract.
For a new one, yeah,
Yeah.
enacting all contracts, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Entering into contracts is what it says.
Yep.
Here, so that seems accurate. Okay. Currently, we're in a section where we're supposed to be listing the basic central authority and responsibilities of council. So the first one is establishing ordinances and policies. The next one, I think we should call out approving the budget and the capital improvement plan each year.
Mhm.
Although you could say that that's just another, ordinance or policy, I think it's such a central role in what we do that it deserves its own called out bullet point. Does anyone else disagree with that? Okay. Does anybody want to write a short description of approving the budget and capital improvement plan? Otherwise,
I am not, well, when's our next meeting?
how many weeks are we
I
on?
could, if you want, I can play with it because I'd like to go back to where the charters originated.
Exactly. Okay.
And I'm trying to put in the charter, every time we can, I'm trying to put in, you'll see the section of the charter or ordinance to make it easy for anybody who is reading this and wants to find it, but also in the future, if we want to rewrite a section, it's helpful to know.
But just to put
Where
the
is it? in
council
our-
shall first adopt a capital improvement plan.
Right,
Summarize the
that's-
capital needs of the town for the year.
Yeah. You'll take that.
Bonding, reserves. Use of taxes to offset.
Yeah.
Efficiencies.
Yeah.
And then a budget for all the departments of the town.
A short summary like that would be great,
Yeah.
because I think it's crucial and it really deserves its own called out section. Okay, and then we're into appoint and supervise town manager. So you're okay with this if it says as a group? That's what you did, one of the most important roles of the town council as a group, parentheses, not as individuals. Yes, that's what we're looking for there. Okay, I'll make that same change. That's
And
fine.
it appears that you also do, and then the one thing that's not here that you are doing that we don't memorialize very well is you also authorize. You. How do we say this? The manager presents to you. All the department heads for
Right,
approval
right.
via contract.
Which has always been complicated to me. I don't really understand how that
I
works.
think it's
Like,
because
every
it's
council-
evolved, I think it's evolved so organically. That it never really had a strict, I mean, a lot of times people, hiring is a manager's job, that's what it says. But then it got into this world where contracting for employees is more normal now.
Mhm.
So since you're contracting for employees,
You have to make that,
It's
you
a
have to
contract.
enact that contract.
correct? So that's why I've been bringing them in, but again, the charter says really clearly that. I select, so that's why we're
Right.
working this process, that the manager brings the recommended candidate. The council's job is to say yes or no, and if you're,
Can we actually say no, though? According to the charter, it's never been clear to me. I mean.
it doesn't say you can't. But like I've said, I've had a couple conversations with Dan, I said, you really can't go in there and do that. I go, you would have to, the correct move would be to request an executive session, give a discussion. That's what you should do, it should be either approved.
Yeah.
Or pull it from the consent calendar and request an executive session.
Yeah.
Without a later date,
So we
Or-
could have something like.
and it would be nice to say that in there so that. A person that comes on and says, look, this is the
Yeah.
way we intend to handle.
Okay,
The manager brings contracts from employees. That are required and puts them on the consent calendar.
Mhm.
And if a counselor wants to discuss those, they really should be. Meeting with a manager or requesting they be pulled and put on an executive session because.
Yeah.
Employment contracts are personnel matter.
absolutely. So maybe this would be a section to add it, although this says appoint, this is not appointing, this is approving. So
Yeah.
maybe this title would have to get changed to approve, appoint, and supervise other officials, and then it could say. We do appoint and supervise the town manager, we also appoint the auditor and the attorney, that's accurate, then there could be a paragraph about, although we do not appoint.
The
We
man-
approve department heads, the town manager
Recommend,
recommends and not really appoint at that point, you
Yeah.
hire.
selects and
Right,
recommends.
we'll work on that language, you and I on then.
Yeah,
So let's
sounds
email
great.
back and forth about adding a paragraph right around line 207.
Yep.
To get that worked in, so we're clear what the protocol
Yep.
is and counselors will know. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay,
And while we're at it, you might as well sit, I think, let's call it right up. You also have to approve all labor contracts.
okay, so that would mean anytime there's a negotiated agreement with any of the unions,
Yep.
we approve that.
Yep.
Although we don't have any role in negotiating it. You negotiate it.
Correct, that's the way it's set right now. I
Uh-huh,
mean, I've seen it done
yeah.
a
me too.
lot of different ways, and I think it's, it's a good topic for discussion.
It
Let's
is,
finish
I
this first, and then
Yeah.
we'll break it up as
Yeah.
put it in the parking lot, as they say.
I agree.
Yep.
So we maybe want to get that worked into this section too. We'll look at how to broaden this section, that things we approve, appoint, or supervise, not just people, but things, because contract is a thing.
Yeah.
We'll work on that language. All right, so that seems important, in that section there. All right, then we get into the types of committees and boards, which I have totally
Yep.
rewritten elsewhere, because it was too hard to figure out what to do.
And it's in the kneecap.
Yeah, I took it from the kneecap report,
Mhm.
and it is in the alternatives to the existing, because at some point, if I start taking out text that was added text, it's not gonna show that as edit mode anymore, if that makes sense. And I didn't wanna cause us problems if someone wanted to refer back to this older version. So we can look at that separate text if we wanna hop over there at this point. Does everyone feel comfortable with that? It pastes in right here, where we get to.
I looked at it together and it was doing what you did in
It's
the kneecap, so I
exactly
think it's
the
a great
Yeah,
move.
I don't feel the need to
Okay.
review that part, since it's already consistent with what we've been working on very recently.
I just took it straight
Yep.
out of the kneecap, and I had. What other question about that? I did have a question in the same title. Are people that serve on boards and committees officials, or are they just representatives? What are they? As I'm titling this section, they're not officials, are they?
It's a committee member, on a committee,
Right,
board member on a board.
I know.
It's an official position.
right. I'm just wondering in this title, appoint, supervise, other what?
I think
Other,
it's an
like,
appointed official.
Okay, so it is an official, great.
appointed official, you're an elected official.
So those are appointed officials on the planning board or the tree board or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay,
It shows somebody in office, I suppose, and I
perfect.
suppose the board councils in office.
I just wanted to ask, it wasn't clear to me. I was like, what is the title for this? Okay, so no one had any questions on
Or you
that,
just
so
say
we're good
appointed
to go.
officials last name.
Yeah, I can see if I can work in the word member on
Yeah,
there.
appointed officials last name.
Or
Community
member.
members, meeting members.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll figure that out. It's gonna be a long title of that section if I'll work on it. Then the last question I had there was just down at the end of who's serving right now on these liaison positions.
which one are you in?
I'm in the alternate document. It's a
Oh,
tiny question. It's just, as I was looking at the kneecap report, who is our current rep to the OTO Fiber Corporation? Is that Bell or is that a staff member now? The
No,
OTO
wait.
Fiber. Could you check for me? Because I
You
should,
know, if OTO fibers, are they doing much anymore? Because that whole capital project never ever happened.
Shelley knows who the rep is.
I think we did appoint, I think it might still be Bell, actually,
And Shelley knows who it is, I think. So the question I have is
even
currently,
if it doesn't tweet.
but currently this write-up says that
Yeah.
it's a staff member who's the liaison there. And I think if it's Bell, that's a community member at this point. So I just wanted to correct it.
Yeah.
I could be remembering wrong. She was definitely the rep to something. And I think Shelley knows that. So if someone, if you didn't mind, Clint, clarifying that with Shelley, I'll
Yeah.
make sure that's corrected.
They got
It
it.
might be right.
Yeah, I feel like, but again,
No, I
there's a
mean,
lot of committees and I would just like to double check if we're
Yep.
good with that. Okay.
Nope, makes sense.
Okay, so back then to the main document, we're at the end, we're gonna get through then, so we've been through three main roles of council, one is establishing ordinances and policies. Second is approving the budget and capital improvement plan, the third is appointing and supervising a range of officials and members. We skipped over appointing and supervising town manager, we're up to the fifth one then. Which is Dan had suggested and kind of significant edit here to actually make a separate bullet point about providing community leadership and kind of giving that title and getting this more fleshed out. I like
Yeah.
what he brought forward the way back in whatever year that was, 2023. Did anyone have any other comments on that? People all saw it in
Yeah.
2023, the full council saw it and all had.
This is
Yeah.
5 and 6 and
We're
7.
on to 5 right now, provide community leadership. The full council in 2023 saw it.
Yep.
I don't think anyone had a problem.
I think it's,
We're good.
it's well done.
Okay, we get to 6. This was always here in the manual all the way back to 2021.
Mhm.
And I think it's accurate that there are many times when the town manager or other staff via the town manager bring items to council where what they really want is like a sense of guidance. Like,
Yep.
we don't need to approve it officially, we don't have to pass an ordinance, they just want to get a read on whether this is the direction council wants to go.
Yeah.
So I think that's what this is trying to capture.
Mhm.
And so just in grammatical parallelism, it didn't have a verb and every other point had a verb. So I remember we added, provide decision-making guidance.
Great.
The one question I have is the very first line. It says, closely related to council's legislative role is the role council plays in providing guidance. And here it says to staff, and I guess that's confusing to me because we don't really ever provide guidance to staff except via the town manager.
You can just say
So-
that guidance staff via the.
That's what I would
Yep.
suggest. Can I add that? And then everyone would feel fine with that?
Do the minute makes sense.
Okay. So I will add via the town manager.
And it's still.
Yeah.
I think to make a lot of the rest of that clear, council advises the feedback to the single body, you should not provide the direction to staff. Welcome to,
Great. As we get to the end of that, there's a comment I added about, okay, so this needs to be changed because back when this manual existed, we never provided this kind of informal guidance except at workshops because we had a lot of workshops. And that is no longer the case. We have these kind of discussions in workshops or in council meetings, so I'm simply gonna change that to say, or take it out. I mean,
Maybe say something that from time to time a workshop may be included in a council agenda.
it comes later. There's a whole
Okay.
section on workshops later.
Good.
So I think here we.
I thought we had that in the ECAP report. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lose that. So.
Yeah, such decisions might include direction on project scope or feedback on various town initiatives or programs. While typically less formal than the council's legislative powers, many times not require a formal vote in the council, such decisions are, or maybe such feedback isn't, or such decisions are important, period. And we will get out about typically included in workshop, I will just delete. Because sometimes those are gonna be at a regular council meeting and sometimes they're gonna be a workshop, and we don't need to say where they happen in here.
Correct.
Everyone good with that?
Session over this, yeah, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that is fine.
So we are omitting that section, omitting that phrase. Oops. And someone give me a time check where we're at.
6:26.
Yeah,
Great, so we're gonna wrap up and we're gonna call it. I think that's not a bad place. I wanna check. I think that there was one other comment that Jacob had. I think it's over. Oh, yeah. He had a comment back in that section about boards and committees, just also highlighting what I did, which was, he said, isn't this already in the kneecap recommendations, the descriptions of boards and committees? So
Yeah.
we're covered. We have addressed that comment. And we can end here, I think, right where we're gonna pick up next time would be at the annual review of council performance, which is on line 313.
Sounds good.
How do we feel about that? We good?
Yep.
Anything else that people want to bring to attention that we should get in place before the next meeting? I feel at this point like we're in a good place to keep working through. Ben's gonna check in with Shelley about one thing. He's going to give feedback on this master municipal year calendar.
Also toy with the language for a paragraph around the budget.
Yeah, what line item was that?
It was, I don't know, but it's.
I
bullet
know where it
number two.
is. Bullet,
Okay.
yeah, it's roll number 2 for council.
Yeah.
So Clint, on your list, you've got fleshing out roll number 2 for council, which is the budget and the capital improvement plan.
Yep.
You have one check with Shelley about whether Bell is currently the rep. And you've got getting back to us with the municipal calendar ideas,
Yep.
especially regarding budget and CIP.
Yep.
I have reached out to both Jacob and Matt to be sure their committees don't have anything on the calendar wise.
By the way,
Oh, you did, and
Mitch.
it's finished. Okay, so staff is correct, so I don't need to update that at all. Good.
And I'll put it toward you.
And right, you already know to check with ordinance review, and I have updated all the comments we've made, except one was too long for me to type, and I took notes, but I'm gonna sit and type in right now. And I will bring those back to the next meeting. And I think if we just keep working through this way, we can pretty soon get to some kind of draft we can work with. I'm hoping no more than 2 more meetings of this if we're lucky.
Ready to adjourn the meeting, or do you want me to keep?
Yes, I just want to say our next meeting time, we typically meet on the second. We were meeting on the second Thursday at 9.
Yeah.
I believe. And can we look at what date that is? Does someone have that on their phone right away?
I do.
My schedule will return to normal next month. And so after this week's tech week of the show, so I can do our regular morning.
Let's take a look and make sure that
You were
that's,
set for the 14th of August,
yeah,
at 9
at
a.m.
9 a.m.,
the
which is a
next.
Thursday,
That's
correct?
second Thursday.
and I am not available for that meeting.
So is there a date that would be better for you for that meeting? Because I think it's important with all this looking at, I mean, this is something I think was helpful to have you.
Yeah, I'm at a training that day. I mean, I could be, I probably could be available. If it's only an hour, I could come in and be a Zoom.
Yeah, but we could also shift the day. It makes no difference to me which day. Does it matter to you, Rob?
Nope,
And I
any of
don't
those.
think Jacob cares that much about which day it is at 9 in the morning. So
Yeah.
Clint, what days are possible for you?
Go ahead, I mean, that week is just a weird week unless we go earlier.
So what would your meet,
I mean,
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, it would have to be, no, it would have to be Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday could be done. Yeah, I
Okay.
would prefer it to be, just see, we got 9. Senior staff's going early. They want to give me time to prep. I could do between 10 and 11 or after 1:30.
I think Jacob prefers first thing in the morning,
I prefer
right?
morning as well.
Is it a day you could do 9
Monday-
o'clock?
Monday morning works.
Monday, the 11th? Is that a
Those are
council meeting
tricky.
day or not?
That is a council meeting day.
It's you and Dan and I will.
And I have finance and operations that night too.
It's a lot of council.
That's a
On
lot.
the other hand, we're doing something we're sort of in the middle of. It's not like a whole bunch of.
Nope.
You want to ask Jacob if Monday, the 11th at 9 works? And if not, we'll see if you could zoom in on the 14th. But shall I reach out and ask Jacob that?
Maybe a Zoom. Yep,
Okay, Monday, the 11th, 9 a.m. if it works for Jacob. Otherwise, we will do our standard Thursday, the 14th at 9 a.m.
sounds good.
All right, I now would like to call us adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you all for being here. And thank you, guests, if they're still there.
I think they left.
Okay,